Now we are going to change some of the other variables in the factors that affecting on quantity demand or the demand, the change in demand due to some other factors other than its own price. Right. So this is a shift in demand curve. Right. It is not movement along the demand curve. Now what we are going to do, we are going to shift the demand curve because those are the factors other than its own price changing. So therefore, it's a shift of demand curve or change in the demand curve itself. From that, let's take the first case. It is income elasticity of demand. Previously, what we discussed, it is price elasticity of demand. This is the income elasticity of demand. Since now we are very much familiar with price elasticity of demand, we do not want to spend much time on income elasticity of demand or gross elasticity of demand, because we know now it is the response. Right? The variable will be changes, not its own price. It is the response of quantity demanded due to a change in income. So the variable that we change is the income. So we change income with a certain proportion and see what is the effect on the quantity demanded. Right? So we say it is the proportionate change in quantity demanded divided by the proportionate change in income. So now we know the measurement. We can measure it. We can measure the change in quantity divided by the change in income multiplied by the original income divided by quantity demanded originally we had. Calculating, you can use the same equation and same method. We can easily calculate. So I'm not going to calculate it, but there are certain values in the income elasticity, and depending on that, we can define the type of good that we discussed slightly in the previous case. Right? So if the income elasticity of demand is a negative value, right? If the income elasticity of demand is a negative value, which is less than 0, then we say it's a normal good. What does it mean? When we say income elasticity of demand is a negative value, what does it mean? Any idea from anyone? What do we mean by negative income elasticity? If you go back with the price elasticity, you know price elasticity of demand is the response of quantity demanded due to change in its own price. Now, income elasticity of demand, that is the response of quantity demanded due to change in consumer income. Income change, that makes some impact on the quantity demanded. It's negative. What does it mean by a negative value? Sorry. Yes. I know you are having trouble there, because when it's a normal good, it's not negative, it is positive. Sorry, I made the mistake. If it is inferior, it is negative. When income elasticity is positive, then it is a normal good. So what do we mean by positive? Then it will be easy. If it is a normal good and positive, then what do we mean by positive income elasticity? And sorry for, I made the mistake and I know you got into confusion. Better, I will give the answer because the newcomers may get confused. If it is a normal good, income elasticity will be positive. We learn this negative and positive responses with the demand curve, right? The negative relationship and positive relationship. When we say positive, the two variables are going in the same direction. So in our case, we change one variable, which is income. The response is quantity demanded. So income increase, if it is positive, quantity demanded also should be increased. If it is a normal good, we say that when income increase, quantity demanded also will be increased. When income increase, people buy more from that good. That's natural. Eh? If it is a normal good, if it is a required good for a person, when income increase, people buy more from that good. For example, you take, let's say, what is now? Let's say a fried rice. Or maybe it's a luxury become. Nowadays, it has become a luxury. So let's say sugar. Right? So when income increase, people try to buy more sugar and consume more. If it is bread, it is same. When income increase, people buy more bread because they have more money. Right? If you take the case with like Sanesta, lunch at Sanesta, when income increase, when the Mahapal of students increase, many students get into Sanesta and consume because it's a normal. Right? So when income elasticity is greater than 0, or if it is a positive value, we say it's a normal, which can be luxury depending on one more condition. When it is negative, right, we say it is inferior. Less than 0, it is negative. We say it's an inferior good. So negative means the opposite or positive, where the two variables are going in the different directions. When income increase, quantity demanded will be decreased. This is called inferior goods. If we put the same example that we had just now, Sanesta, it's kind of a normal good, right? When income increase, people tend to buy more from Sanesta. Some students move from our cafeteria to Sanesta. Then what about our cafeteria? It is inferior compared to Sanesta. Lunch at our cafeteria is inferior. So when income increase, people decrease the consumption. People do not want to consume from our cafeteria. They will move away from our cafeteria. They stop the consumption. Right? So they are moving to Sanesta. It's negative. Therefore, our cafeteria is an inferior good. Inferior goods mean you will have one more good to consume, same as the concerned good, but less in your satisfaction. Your quality will be maybe quality or quantity or whatever, your happiness will be less than that. We say the utility will be less than the concerned one. So our happiness is higher when we have our lunch at our, not at our cafeteria, but at Sanesta. When we have our lunch at Sanesta, our happiness is higher compared to lunch at our cafeteria. Therefore, our cafeteria is an inferior good. The people, those who consume rice, it is a concerned good. Then, compared to rice consumption, bread consumption is inferior. Right? When income increase, people tend to buy more rice, but less bread in the Sri Lankan context, because we perceive bread as an inferior good. Right? So we have less satisfaction when we consume bread because you feel like you did not eat your lunch. So the relationship between income and inferior good will be negative. And it is positive if the income elasticity is positive, but greater than 1. Right? Then we say it's a luxury. Now it is positive, but greater than 1. What does it mean? Like the first case, it says when income increase, people tend to buy more for that, from that, like our rice example just now we had. When income increase, people tend to buy more rice, like Hotel Sanesta. When income increase, people tend to buy more from Sanesta. But in this case, it is greater than 1. They are buying more, but more than the change in income. If income increased by 10%, people increase their consumption more than 10%. Then we call them as luxury goods. For example, you take gold, when income increased by 10%, people try to buy more gold than 10%. I know with my own experience, whenever the price of, whenever the income of the consumer, like basically with the ladies, income increased by 10%, what they do, they get into the jewelry shop and buy gold, right? And pay for next 2 years. Your income increased by 10,000, but you are going to buy gold for 200,000. Very much high. So income increased by 10%, your demand will be increased by 200%. Same if you take that with the vehicles. If you put the same thing into the gents, right? If you take before pandemic, even before Japan period, the income of, on average, income of the Sri Lankan public was increasing, like 10% increase in average income of the country. But what happened to the vehicle demand? Vehicle demand increased much more than that. People try to buy many vehicles, maybe with a lease or loans or any other mechanisms. Right? Their income was increased by 10,000. So they bought vehicles for maybe 3 million, 4 million, because vehicles are luxuries. So whenever we are experiencing a higher proportionate demand compared to the increase in income, we call those goods as luxuries. So in economics, when we want to define this luxury, inferior, and normal, then we are using income elasticity. Looking at the income elasticity, we can say whether we are having a normal good, inferior good, or luxury good.